Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and in today's video we're going to be looking at upgrading and improving the vintage Action Man Space Ranger Internationals outfit. Now the Internationals outfits were sort of cheaper cut down versions of other outfits that you could buy in the Action Man line, and with the Space Ranger one you can see you basically got a jumpsuit, a headset sort of helmet and a pair of boots, and if you compare it to the other Space Rangers behind you can see it looks really very basic, almost like it's unfinished. The boots and helmet actually come for the $6 Million Man line of toys. The boots are from the Mission to Mars outfit and the helmet is from the radio backpack set. In fact, all of the Action Man Space Rangers use these parts. You can see in the background that they have the boots on and they have the gloves, but with the Internationals ones it doesn't even come with gloves. It just is a very basic figure. I have to say though, you can immediately make this Space Ranger Internationals outfit look better just by putting some gloves on. So that is actually the first thing we'll do with this figure, because without the gloves it doesn't really look like a spacesuit. He just looks a bit sort of half finished. So we'll add those straight away and you can see how quickly that improves the look of the figure. But even with those added, you can see it still doesn't really fit in with the rest of the sort of the vibe that the Space Rangers are giving off. So what I'm going to do today is actually make a custom tabard for it to get it to sort of fit in with the set. Now this outfit to me looks more like a communications officer or a comms officer. So that's the route I'm going to go down when I come to designing the outfit. I want to keep it in the same style as well as the sort of other Space Rangers. So I'm going to go down the route of making these silver ones. Now I've previously done a video making replacement versions of these tabards. In fact, the outfit on the right is actually sporting one of the ones that I made. That one in the middle is an original. You can see it's a little bit battered and worn. So I do know how to make this, and I've actually had to go and check out my previous video to see exactly what I did because I've forgotten the process. But that's what we're going to do today. Let's make a custom tabard for this Space Ranger Internationals, and we're going to turn it into a communications officer version of a Space Ranger. So as I say, we're going to make this tabard from scratch, and you can see this is the one that I made. It took me quite a while to work out the exact process, and I've had to watch my old video because I sort of forgotten exactly what I did. I went through a whole sort of load of different ideas on how I could create this, from iron-on transfers and all sorts of things, and in the end this version I ended up using some water slide decal paper that you can purchase quite cheaply, and then putting that onto this sort of pleathery silver fabric that I bought off eBay, and I ended up with a very nice sort of tabard. It was a little bit complicated to make, but the end result was certainly worth it. So that's what we're going to do to this guy, because I think he just looks really unfinished at the moment. So the first thing I need to do is to design a new tabard. I'm going to use these as the bases because the other Space Rangers use very similar ones, so that's a good place to start. And I need to pick some colours. I'm thinking this one is yellow and blue, the other one is red and blue, so I'm actually going to go down the route of, I think, sort of yellows and greens should look quite nice on this nice vibrant blue jumpsuit that he's got. So let's go into Photoshop and design a new tabard. And after not a huge amount of work, I have some new design. So this is my new design for the tabard. As you can see, the basic shape is exactly as the original is, but I've changed it to be a sort of muted green colour with a nice yellow sort of banding across it. And I've made a new logo, which is my communications officer logo. I was going to put a C in it like the others, but in fact they all have C's, because one of them is called captain and that has a C, the other one is called commander and that has a C. So if I put a C on this, you wouldn't know that it's communications. So I've made a little sort of communications logo there. This I have printed out onto water slide decal paper. You can pick this up off eBay. I bought this from a company called MDP, Mr. Decal Paper, and it's fairly expensive. You don't get many sheets. I think they're slightly over £1 a sheet. So do be careful when you're printing it out. You can see I actually made some mistakes printing this out, and it's sort of expensive and a little bit wasteful. But once you've got a couple of sheets printed out, you then need to spray them with a clear lacquer. If you don't do that, when you put these in the water, all of the ink will come off. So give it a couple of coats of a clear lacquer, let that all dry, and then you'll end up with something that looks like this. It's got a slight sheen to it because that's the lacquer on it, but this should now work perfectly and we should be able to slide it onto the material and make some new tabards. So this is the material I'm going to use. It's the same material that I showed in the previous video. In fact, I'll put a link to that in the description and also at the end of this video. It's a pleather sort of material. It's quite thin, doesn't have any stretch to it, which is ideal because what we've got to do obviously is put the water slide decals onto this. And that process I remember being a little bit sort of fiddly and you had to go very slow with it. What we've got to do is cut these out, put them into some water until the water is soaked into the paper and the decal part has become loose. And then you can slide it onto the material and use a bit of kitchen towel just to push the water out, let it dry for 24 hours and then it should have stuck onto the surface. As I say, watch my previous video because I went through the whole process in that. I'm just going to have a go again. I remember it being sort of fairly tricky to do and I haven't done it in a long while, so that's why I've printed out a few of these just in case it goes wrong. So let's get everything cut out and we'll see if we can make the new tabard. Okay, so that was about as tough as I remember. The decals are very thin, so basically once you put them in the water and the paper slides off, the sort of surface that you're left with is very, very thin indeed, and it's very easily torn. So I've made 3 here. They all have slight flaws in them where I've made mistakes, but I think overall the overall effect is actually quite nice. You can see on this one I accidentally tore it at the top, but it's so thin I can't actually get it back it's sort of to match up, and it's also got a little bit cracked down the bottom here. You can just about see that. The one in the middle is probably the best of the 3. I think I tore it up here, but I was able to sort of push it back together. And again, this one I've torn sort of over here somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but there's a little tear. You know, the overall effect though on all of them is pretty good, and they're going to match in with the vintage ones, because all of the vintage ones are very worn and battered anyway, so I'm not too worried that they're not perfect. They have a sort of wabby-sabby charm to them. Now with this water slide decal stuff, we've got to leave them for at least 24 hours. That's what it says on the instructions. You have to let all of the water evaporate. Don't touch them, don't mess with them, because the chances of ruining them some more, it's very easy to do. So I'm just going to leave these for 24 hours. Then I'll come back to them and cut them out. I think in the meantime though, I can make the belts. Again, if you want to see how to make the belts, watch the previous video. I'm not going to show that again, so I'll make some belts so that they are ready for when these are all dry. It's now a day later and everything has had time to dry. In fact, it's actually a few days later, as I've just not had time to film, but you can see everything is now stuck on really nicely. So we can go ahead and get this cut out. On my designs, you'll see there's this thick grey line around the edge of it. We actually need to remove all of that thick grey line, so I'm going to cut that away. We've also got to cut away the circle there for the head to go through, and there are marks here where we need to do little cuts, which I will do with a knife at the end. But first let's cut out the main part of it, and then we'll cut these little lines in, and then we can try it on the figure. Now that that's cut out, we can go ahead and put this on the figure. As you can see, I did make a belt, so this needs to be fitted to the front of the tabard. So we've got some little press studs there, and I'll push this through the little holes that I've already cut in here. Those sort of belt holes. So let's pull that one carefully through there, and out the other side as well. And we'll do the same on the back. And now we can put it on the figure. And for these, and for every tabard in fact that goes on the space figures, I always tend to remove the heads. Even with the original tabards, if you try and push it on over the head, you tend to split the neck hole, because the hole for the neck is actually quite small. This is the same size as the original ones. You can see that the head is much larger, so if you push it through, you tend to split the fabric. So on this one, but again, because I've made it and this little print on the top of it is a little bit more delicate than the originals, I'm going to take the head off and just pop the figure on like this. It doesn't take long to do. We all know how to remove the heads. Just put a screwdriver around the neck and they will pop off nice and easily. It just makes it much easier to put this on, and you don't risk damaging the work that you've made. So we can put that on like that. That already looks good. Let's put the helmet back on. Just pop that in place like so, and then we can put his helmet on. And there we have an upgraded Internationals Space Ranger to be a Space Ranger Communications Officer. And here is the finished figure with the other two Space Rangers that come with the tabards, and I think it looks really nice. I'm very happy with how it matches in. The colour combination with the sort of muted green and yellow I think really does match quite nicely, certainly with the patroller and the captain that I have here standing behind them. Obviously the original International Space Ranger didn't come with this. It was a very basic outfit. You just got the jumpsuit and the boots and the hat. I think with a little bit of effort, you know, getting some extra gloves and making this tabard, it takes this figure to another level and certainly makes it far more displayable. Without that, it's a very basic uniform. So I think it's certainly worth going down this route of making a tabard. I've not given him a weapon or anything like that because I'm going to say this is the communications officer and I don't think he would have a weapon. You may want to add a holster like the other ones have, but in this instance I've not done that. I think it looks nice as it is. If you want to make your own version of this Space Ranger communications officer, then I will be putting the file on toy-polloi.com, so go there and download the file, and do check out my previous video on how to make the tabards, because that goes into much greater detail about actually how I worked out how to make the tabards look as nice as they do here. I went through a whole process to get to this version that I'm showing you in front of me. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.